So in today's video, we'll be going over a Ichiro Oda interview he did recently, but I have to talk about this because this is current event news. Oda is going through some health issues. That's why we're going on break until December. And it's not the regular breaks that we're used to as One Piece fans. Everybody knows we've been having breaks for years. But this is because Oda's health is actually not too good. Yes, we got an update today saying that his health is getting better and it's improving, which I'll make a whole entire video about this because it's actually a deeper topic. It's going to be revolving around Wano and Egghead Island and the final saga in general and Oda's health. And I'll make an entire deep dive on this on the channel because there's no chapter anyway, so I might as well talk about this. It's very important when it comes to the overall story of One Piece, and Ichiro Oda's health is always going to be important. But yeah, I thought I would mention that before I get into what I really want to talk about today. You guys all see the title. I'm mentioning Akainu. You guys see the thumbnail, Mihawk. This is one of the more controversial videos, and it's because Ichiro Oda answered questions. Whenever Ichiro Oda answers questions, it's going to be controversial. Like if I made a story and then I answer questions about the story that I usually don't do, people are going to trip out. They're going to start to find out behind the curtains of the series, and we learned a lot of information that we didn't learn through the manga or an anime. So definitely got to say I'm excited for this video, and you're going to learn a lot. I even learned a lot even looking at these questions that Oda did in the recent interview. Now, the first question I want to go over in Ichiro Oda's interview was, please explain how the bounty system of Cross Guild works. Now, we've been seeing some pretty cool bounties of Cross Guild. Just recently, Garp had a 3 billion berry bounty, and Kobe had a 500 million berry bounty. And we recently seen the Vice Admiral get taken down. T-Bone from Eddie's Lobby, he got taken down. So yeah, these Cross Guild bounties, ever since the post Wano, they've been really rocking the scene. But it's not really affecting us that much in a sense. Like, it's not like the pirate bounties that we're so used to and are so in love with. So yeah, that is the question, and Ichiro Oda actually gave a very, very good answer for this. So Ichiro Oda's answer was this: for Fleet Admiral, it's 5 crowns. 1 crown is 1 billion berries. So that means that Fleet Admiral is worth 5 billion berries. That means that Akainu is worth 5 billion berries. For context, Kaido and Big Mom, the previous highest active bounty users, were around 4.6, 4.3. Yeah, Akainu's bounty is higher. If anything, if you go pre-time skip, Whitebeard's bounty, the Legend of Legends, was around 5 billion. So yeah, Akainu has Whitebeard level bounty. That is insane. Now I also have to say this, that Oda, you have to understand this. It's not just that Akainu has a 5 billion berry bounty that's higher than Kaido and Big Mom, the previous active bounty users. You have to understand, the current active bounty users are Shanks with 4 billion, Blackbeard with 3.9 billion, Mihawk with nearly 3.6 billion. The Marine Hunter himself is at 3.6 billion. And I can go deep with, of course, his captain, the Yonko Buggy, with 3.1. Luffy, the other Yonko, with 3 billion. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, Akainu's bounty is no joke and definitely makes you look at things in a full perspective. Now, I must admit, Oda doesn't just give us Akainu's bounty. He also gives us the Admirals at 3 crowns, which is 3 billion berries. And Garp had 3 crowns as well because he was a special case. I'm not gonna lie to you, Oda didn't give him like the Akainu level bounty or Whitebeard or Roger level bounty. But Cross Guild is a new bounty system, so I'm not surprised that Oda, the fact that he got 3 billion was still cool though, because still the Admiral level of bounty was still insane for Garp. And then of course after that, you go into the stars, which is 100 million, and Vice Admirals have 5 stars, which is a 500 million berry bounty, which does definitely make sense. Of course, Rear Admirals have 2 stars, which is 200 million berries, and that definitely makes sense as well. Commodores are at 1 star, Captains are at 1 star, so they're at 100 million. Luffy's bounty post Alabasta. And then, of course, Field Officers or Commander and lower are at 1 million, and Junior Officers are at 100,000 bellies. Yeah, so definitely it was pretty cool to see that Oda answered this question very thorough, and we got the crown system and the star system. I love it, guys. It was awesome. Now, I will admit, every one of these Oda questions in the interview have some side notes, and I thought I'd read them out to see your guys' thoughts on this side note. It says, it's a system that is inevitable to cause chaos for the Marines. Definitely understand that, as their lives are also threatened by the citizens that they are supposed to protect. In the case of famous Marines, their bounty may be higher than the normal amount. Of course, Garp and Kobe. For heroes like Garp and Kobe, it says in the side note. They have been given an exceptional amount of bounty and their lives are being targeted. So in these side notes, we get kind of like what we already had in our common sense logic, But yeah, it's cool to see these side notes confirm our thought process when seeing the cross-skilled bounty system for the Marines. Now, of course, there's 9 other questions that Oda did. Definitely not on the same interest level I had for the Akainu one, but I thought I'd still talk about it because you guys deserve to hear my thoughts. First question I'll go over is Luffy. When Luffy is using Gear 5, he pulls out things like goggles and baseball helmets from what looks like a Hagoromo, cloud scarf. Now, of course, please explain how it works. This question is for Oda, and I'm telling you guys right now, the fact that this guy is even asking about Gear 5, like, Gear 5 is one of the most wacky, toony, like, crazy, like, illogical powers I've ever seen in a story. So, I already know Oda's answer. I don't have to read Oda's answers. I already know this answer is gonna be trolling. So the answer to that question Oda gave was, it's the entrance to Nika's fantasy. Like I said, I expected it. Like, Gear 5 is the most ridiculous power in the world, and ridiculous powers are not logical. And if you think about it, like, honestly, doubtful abilities in general is not logical. Like, superhero powers and abilities in anime are not logical. So Gear 5 is just the pinnacle, the peak of illogical powers. So I'm not really that mad at Oda giving that answer. Now, would Oda actually explore Nika's fantasy, and like, is there a whole Nika world that we can go to where everyone's like Gear 5? That would be wacky and crazy and fun. But I think Oda definitely has a lot to explore because it's the most ridiculous power. So there's so many avenues you can go to. Of course, the side note, I have to talk about it. With the freedom to think, Luffy gains new weapons. His unique technique is truly a symbol of freedom. And I must admit, Luffy is not the more weapon-based fighter, so seeing Luffy just use weapons in general is cool. I think Oda can definitely go deeper with this because we all know that first silhouette of Nika, the sun god Nika. It looks like he has some sort of spear. So if Oda actually brings out a Nika main weapon, not these joking, trolling weapons, in a fight against Blackbeard, Shanks, Imu, Akainu, I don't know who they're going to put it against. That would be cool for me. Question 2. Sabo inherited the Mare no Mi, aka the flame fruit. He demonstrating its power to the fullest. Did he do any training to properly use the Mare no Mi? Now, of course, this question to me was so annoying, and the reason why is because you're asking Oda questions that we literally see in the manga. Yes, and of course, right after Dressrosa, do you see Sabo training with the Mare no Mi? Do I even have to look at Oda's answer? Like, come on. Yeah, this question really pissed me off, guys. So Oda answers the question by saying he trains every day. At least Oda goes to more details than what we already saw in the manga. Yes, I feel that Sabo, who regained his memories, has remembered a lot of things too. In my opinion, when Oda says this, he's alluding to Sabo, of course, forgetting everything when he met Dragon because, of course, the Celestial Dragon attack. But you have to understand, but before he met Dragon, he was training with Luffy and Ace thoroughly. So definitely gotta say, Sabo can add some new cool things from his basic training as a kid he did with Luffy and Ace. And you understand, if Sabo's doing that basic training with Luffy and Ace, adding on to his already training with Dragon, Kuma, and the rest of the revolutionaries, I'm telling you guys right now, Sabo is gonna come back stronger. Like him getting his memories, we saw in Dressrosa, he was doing some cool stuff there, but Sabo definitely has some crazy potential we're about to see. And the side note says he even completely inherits Ace epithet, the Fire Fist. The power of his blow is unparalleled. His title as the Flame Emperor is not just for show. So a lot of people are definitely going to think that Sabo is living under Ace's shadow. I think the side note is really trying to emphasize that Sabo is legit with his Mare no Mi. He's not just a copycat. Now the next question is, I'll say it's not as crazy the one I just read, but it's still like a little iffy, but I'll read it for you guys. Has Dragon ever lived with Luffy? And the reason why I was a little iffy about it is because, come on, like, we know Luffy as a kid was carried by Garp, and you have to understand, Luffy can't even remember Dragon. The fact that Luffy can't even remember Dragon, even if Dragon lived with him, is there any crazy relevant moments? Yes, there is some, but still, I have lots of iffy questions. Not as bad as the previous one, but it's like, come on, we got some better questions we could ask here, guys. Now, Oda actually gives a very thorough question, and I'm not surprised. Dragon is a character who's rarely talked about, so I think Oda has a lot of things to say, and here we go. At least not during a time Luffy can remember, like I said. Unlike Bartholomew Kuma, Dragon is known as the leader of the Revolutionary Army, so he couldn't let their relationship be discovered, as it would have put Luffy in danger. I wonder how he felt when he had to say goodbye to his family, and what he felt when he saw his son in Lockdown. So Oda is now teasing us, saying that Dragon definitely had some feelings when he had to leave Luffy, and feelings when he saw him at lockdown. Some very, very, very impactful feelings, emotional feelings. So seeing an emotional side of Dragon is definitely going to be shocking because you rarely see it. And you remember that moment where Dragon threatened Kuma, saying, like, don't mess around with my family, when Kuma, of course, mentioned that he pretty much used his own logic to say, I don't want to say logic, but more so intuitiveness. Kuma's very intuitive, and he just realized Luffy's Dragon's son after being in the Goa Kingdom and whatnot. But I do gotta say, I love this answer. Yeah, the question was iffy, but the answer was like very, very cool to see. And for you guys saying, whoa, why are you reacting like you never read these answers? I skimmed through them, but when I'm discussing them with you guys, I can really give a deep thought process with it. So that's why it looks like I'm reacting at these answers for the first time. And that answer was so good that there was no side note. So if you see no side note, it means Oda really gave a great answer. So let's move to question 4. The ship of the Blackbeard pirates is named the Saber of Sebek. Does it have any relations to Rock's D. Sebek? Like I said, guys, some of these questions are so dumb, but yes, I still have to read them and think, yes, Oda really is going to answer this question. Like, this is a common sense question. The Saber of Sebek. He's on Pirate Island Beehive where the Roxy Sebek formed. The pirates formed. Yes, it has to do with Roxy Sebek. Sorry if I'm getting animated, but like some of these questions, I'm just giving you these emotional raw reactions. It's just not the greatest questions. And the answer Oda gives is Sebek, in quotation mark, is the name of a type of sailing ship. So then it could be a coincidence, or maybe it really isn't. So Oda is trolling. Oda's like, yeah, it's the name of a sailing ship, so it could just be a coincidence, but maybe it really isn't. Like, Oda's pretty much telling you guys, I don't do nothing for coincidence, guys. Come on, like, it obviously is definitely a true meaning. And like the previous question that I thought was iffy, Oda doesn't even give, there's not even a side note to this question. That just shows you how dumb the question was. Now, I thought this question was way better than the previous ones. The move Commissary Divine Departure that was used to one-shot Kid, was it taught to Shanks by Roger, or did he just learn it by observing him? I thought this question was really great because I actually didn't know how Shanks imitated Divine Departure, and not a lot of people are talking about this. This is an insane feat by Shanks, and I'm having a whole video talking about this soon. You're gonna love the new editing style I do for this Shanks video. You guys are gonna love it. But yeah, Divine Departure, was it taught by him? And then the fact that the question adds in the one-shot of Kid, that one-shot of Kid is not talked about as much too. Shanks one-shotting Kid is a Shanks feat. It's not a Kid L, it's a Shanks feat. Shanks is one-shotting a guy coming off a Yonko win with his damn punk, who would have destroyed his entire Grand Fleet if Shanks couldn't see 10 seconds to the future. That shows how overpowered Shanks is. So Oda answers like this: he remembered it because he always looked up to Roger. No one else in the Roger Pirates has been able to imitate it, so Shanks' talent is quite astonishing. And this is a great answer because it shows that Shanks wasn't taught it, but he was watching Roger fight so many times. Since he was 1 year old, he's been watching Roger fight. So seeing Divine Departure a billion times, he and Shanks being so talented as he is, definitely imitated. It's kind of like how Luffy never trained with Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, but he was, because of the Aokiji fight, he was able to develop that. And seeing, of course, Lucci and the CP9 abilities, Shave, he was able to bring it out in his lobby. Like, we never see Luffy actually train for Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd. And honestly, we don't even see Luffy train for Gear 4th. He's training Haki, but he's not really training Gear 4th. And it's showing that One Piece is one of those series where they want the fighter to be not really training arcs and whatnot, but more so as you go, the progression of your power. I made a whole video about that previously, Luffy's progression, that a lot of people didn't see. But yeah, I thought this answer was really one of my favorites in the 10 questions that Oda had. And the side note here was good because the question was good. Like I told you guys, if the question's good, there's gonna be a good side note. And the side note says, with his innate talent, he unleashed the same attack as the Pirate King. Even Kid, who defeated an emperor, could not withstand its power. Yeah, and people are like, what is that side note talking about? No, Kid was tanking attacks from Yonko. Like, Big Mom was using Kangasaki Haki coding on page 1 to one-shot that Flying 6 Ancient Zone, and Kid was getting numerous attacks against Big Mom that even Big Mom said, how are you still standing, Kid? Like, Big Mom is shocked that Kid is able to still stand, and Shanks just one-shots him. Yeah, in my opinion, that is crazy. Now, I do gotta admit, some people have mentioned that Shanks' Kangasaki coding attack, Divine Departure, did explode the damn punk onto Kid, but still, at the end of the day, regardless if that happened or not, that is a crazy feat by Shanks. Now, the next question is, what job does Kuzan have as the 10 Titanic captain of the Blackbeard Pirates? Does he have any subordinates? Now, this is not a great question, but it's not a dumb question. So I definitely feel like it's something that I thought about a little bit, but I really didn't deep too much because he's such a new member of the Blackbeard Pirates. It's kind of like how Jinbei's title as the helmsman is like, yes, I predicted it years ago that Jinbei would be the helmsman of the Straw Hat Pirates, but the helmsman is not really like that main whatchamacallit of a job. Like the Straw Hat Pirates made it so far without having a helmsman, so you get what I'm saying a little bit. So I feel like Aokiji would have a similar job to that. And let's see the answer. So Oda answered he has subordinates. He's not the type to obey everything that Blackbeard says. For Kuzan, being a member of the pirate crew doesn't necessarily mean he must do evil deeds. Rather, living freely is the stronger implication here. However, as a member of the Blackbeard Pirates, it seems he also has caused many casualties. So it kind of looks like Oda is saying that Kuzan is kind of like a 50-50 member of the Blackbeard Pirates. He's not really following Blackbeard, but he's on the crew because Blackbeard gives him the most freedom. And it makes sense. Blackbeard does seemingly give Aokiji the most freedom, but he still has some things to do as he has subordinates and he has caused casualties, even though he doesn't want to do evil deeds because of his freedom. Like I said, that's the thing with freedom. A lot of people look at freedom as this greatest thing, and it is. Freedom is the greatest thing. Freedom of speech, freedom to do things, but sometimes too much freedom needs to be reined in because havoc could be caused, and you see with Aokiji causing casualties even though he's just chasing freedom. Great answer by Oda. Very, very deep, profound answer that I will talk about in a separate video, guys. Aokiji is a deep topic. And the side note says, even as a former Marine, it seems he is well respected by the pirates of Pirate Island. The true motives of this cool man are still unfathomable. Yes, the side note is pretty much go watch my video on Aokiji that I'm about to make in the future. It's gonna come very, very soon, guys. And that side note was just a preview to that, guys. Now the next question is, what kind of system is the world military draft that added Fujitora and Ryukogu to the forces of the Marines? Now, this question is a good question. It's probably one of the best questions in the 10 questions. But the problem is it's kind of late. Like, we're in the final saga. We're in Egghead Island. We just saw Aokiji fight. We just saw Kizaru fight. Like, two admirals, like, I know Aokiji's not admiral, but yeah, two admiral level characters that are stronger than Fujitora and Greenbow, in my opinion. And the hype of them were in Dressrosa and post Wano. Like, that's where the hype became, like, kind of died down when Shanks punked Greenbow. So yeah, it's a good question, but the hype has died down for both these characters where it's not going to break the internet like it could have during Dressrosa if this question was asked, in my opinion. But Oda gives one of the best answers because I have to admit, it's still a decent question. Just the time it happened is really not going to break the internet. But yeah, the world government affiliated countries have their own soldiers that protect them. To strengthen the military power of the Marines, the World Military Draft was organized to draft the most capable soldiers from within their ranks. This draft became one of these triggers for the recently occurred 8-nation revolution, as the weakening of their national defense forces may have contributed to the success of these revolutions. So Oda's answer pretty much is the countries that are aligned with the world government have monsters in their army protecting them. Look, think about it now. Like, you have to understand, Kiros is probably a monster protecting Dressrosa. Rebecca too, she's powerful. Yeah, I know she has observation haki only, but still, like, there's characters even in the Grand Fleet that are aligned with world government. So I'm telling you guys right now, they're pretty much, Oda's pretty much saying that, yeah, some of these nations that were aligned with the world government, they just got their strongest guys taken. It's like when we saw Kaido's flashback, how he was taken by the world government. It's similar, the same thing. And it looks like Greenbow and Fujitora were just monsters protecting countries, and that's how they were taken in by the military draft. And the side note, this question is so good that there's even a side note, guys. Like I said, decent question. With the goal of increasing the military strength of the Marines, they have recruited fierce warriors from all over the world, such as the strength of their leaders, Ryukogu and Fujitora, that even a former member of the Seven Warders of the Sea, Doflamingo, puts up his guard. They establish order with their overwhelming power and their individual sense of justice. And this side note really makes me think, even Doflamingo was like 10 toes with Fujitora and Greenbow, and Oda didn't even want, like, there was two candidates of the vice admirals that he could have made admirals, and then of course there's very strong vice admirals as well, but Oda's like, no, I'm not gonna go the cheap route of just adding in the strongest vice admirals into the admiral position. I'm gonna get guys that are stronger than the vice admirals, that are not part of the Marines but are part of the world government affiliated countries, and put them in. And I think Oda was a genius for this. Fujitora and Greenbow definitely strengthened the Marines, and Marines losing Sengoku and of course Aokiji it definitely wasn't a loss because they got Fustor and Greenbow to replace that, and Akainu, of course, became Fleet Admiral. So definitely really good stuff here. Now, these last two questions, I must admit, are my favorite questions of this Oda interview because they really could be separate videos if I'm being completely honest. But I thought I would end it off. Like, I thought I would start off with the most interesting and then end off with some of the most interesting stuff in this interview. And the question is, please tell us about the Rocky Port incident that became the cause of Kobe being hailed as a hero. And now I've been wanting to know about the Rocky Port incident since it's been mentioned. You have characters like Law worth 3 billion berries. You have characters like Blackbeard worth nearly 4 billion berries. They literally fought recently. And then of course we also had Kobe, who also interacted with Blackbeard recently too. And he was a decorated Marine and he literally did damage on Blackbeard's Island recently. So the Rocky Port incident is definitely something to behold. Kobe doing that honestly impact is just another add-on to his legendary things he's done on Pirate Island Beehive. But yeah, I definitely want to see Oda's answer to this. I know you guys are thinking, come on, just tell us Oda's answer, like stop yapping, Mac. But yeah, I thought I would just do a little yap session there because it was such a good question. I feel this is Oda's answer right here, guys. I feel like it would take too long to draw it, so I don't think it will be included in the main story. To put it simply, after hearing that there's a poneglyph on Pirate Island, Law snuck in and hijacked a massive passenger ship called the Rocky Port, riding it all the way to the Pirate Island. The ship was carrying the king and the other important figures from a certain country. In reality, however, the ship Law boarded was a smuggling vessel doing business with the Pirate Island under the flag of that same country, which led to some dangerous trouble brewing. Law then got into conflict with the pirates later. Kobe and Blackbeard boarded with their respective objectives, resulting in the three fighting together. That's what came to known as the incident. As the incident settled, Blackbeard became the king of Pirate Island, Law joined the Royal Sea of Warlords, and Kobe became to be known as the hero. Now, this answer is interesting because we now realize when Blackbeard told Kobe as a kind gesture, you did help me at Rocky Port, they actually teamed up. And we know that, of course, Wang Ji actually ran the Pirate Island Beehive before Blackbeard became king of Pirate Island Beehive. So this definitely is very interesting what happened during the time skip. Law became a warlord, which was of course Punk Hazard, and that was the versus Emperor saga that started it all. And then of course Kobe came in here, the Marines. Like, there's so many things started off, and Oda even said he didn't want to draw it. That was definitely an interesting part of the answer too, which I talked about in the beginning of the video. I talked about Oda's health. The fact that he doesn't want to draw something that we would love to see. Rocky Port incident needs an anime episode special or something, because just reading Oda's answer, I want to see it again. Think about that. I know what happens now. Oda tells me what happens in the Rocky Port incident. He's been teasing it in the main story for so long, and I still want to see it drawn or seen it in the anime. So yeah, someone work on that. Toei, I don't know who's going to be involved with that, but yeah, I love this answer by Oda. It definitely made me want to make an entire video on it, but like Oda said, it's just too long to talk about. Now, the side note, of course, in this incident, Blackbeard defeated the Lord of the Pirate Island, Ochoku Wang Ji, a former member of the Rocks Pirates, and Law presented 100 pirate hearts to the government. This historical event had a huge impact in the world and still holds many mysteries to this day. And one of the many mysteries I think that needs to be talked about is Wang Ji. He's a former member of the Rocks Pirates. Blackbeard's ship is able to back the recent question we saw. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, Oda, you think you're definitely trolling us, but yeah, okay, you are trolling us, Oda, but still, I'm on to you. I know you're doing things not just by coincidence. There's definitely a pattern to it, and I can see the pattern. So Oda, get to revealing some of these mysteries, because I can't wait. This side note definitely got me triggered. And the final question is probably one of my favorite topic in the One Piece story, and a lot of people are like, yeah, we know, Mac, you made so many videos on it. Question 10. During the God Valley incident, Saint Garling went and confronted the pirates, but how strong is his combat abilities? Now, you guys all know I love the God Valley incident, talking about it, but I thought this was interesting because this reader, this seems like I wrote the question. This is the exact question I would write, because I always talk about it. When the Holy Knights, led by Figureland Garland, go up against Roger and tell the Marines to stand back and tell people to stand back, that was so cool to me. Tell them to protect the Royals, or the Celestial Dragons, I mean, and they want to combat with the pirates. That was cool. It means these Celestial Dragons are not, excuse my language, pussies. They want smoke. They want to fight. They want hands. They want to throw hands. They're not ducking the fade. Garling and his dudes weren't ducking the fade. And this kind of question is my type of question. That's why I'm so animated. And I thought that would be the last thing I talk about in this video, guys. Now, Oda obviously gives an answer that is not, even though the question is amazing, the answer is hilarious because we all know Oda doesn't love these power scaling talks. And he says, he's strong. There's a reason for his strength. So Oda wants us to, of course, still think, yeah, Figure Line Garling is strong, obviously, but there's a reason for his strength. And I want to know what the reason is. Is it related to his family? We know Shanks has been connected to Figure Line Garling for so long, and he has innate talent to even copy the Pirate King's divine departure. This answer is so interesting. Garling's now, of course, a Gorosei, and of course, probably got new powers from Imu, and to replace Saturn. And I think Garling is going to be one of the final saga main characters. That's why he was in that panel, guys. So definitely got to say, this answer was definitely Oda-esque. And I thought the perfect way to end this interview off is by reading the side note to that question. Without backing down, the God Knights go into battle against the legendary pirates. What is the secret behind their being a part of the nobility while possessing strength at the same time? Pay close attention from here on out to the action of Saint Garling, who has finally risen to the ranks of 5 elders. And we all know when Whitebeard met Shanks, he said, your face makes me remind me of that scar I got from that man. We all thought it was Roger, but it could be referencing to Garling. Now I do gotta say this, if Whitebeard fought Garling, we already know that Garling is trying to fight Roger. So Garling is gonna reveal a lot of God Valley lore when he's doing, of course, end of story tactics with Luffy and whoever it is, because the Gorosei are going to be involved in the final saga. They already did a great impact at Naked Island. They're going to do more, and Imu's fed up after feeling Joy Boy's hockey. So definitely got to say, that is all I have to say for this video, and I love talking about these topics, and I have more videos coming up soon, guys. I'm bringing back the new kind of the old LegendMac style, but more raw in a sense. Yeah, and with no chapter coming to it, so you guys will get definitely some cool discussions.